Let's look at some facts today about some of our Canadian wildlife. We all know these animals and we've probably seen them around at least once, but here's some really interesting secrets about them. If you ever want a great place to watch documentaries about Canadian wildlife, CBC has a YouTube channel called CBC Docs. The Nature of Things is a series of documentaries by David Suzuki that is also on that channel. They're very informative and they're really fun to watch. So let's explore the lives of white-tailed deer. White-tailed deer are the most common large animal in North America. They typically live between 6 to 14 years. They are recognized by their tail being white underneath. When sensing danger, the deer raises its tail. This is called flagging. Showing this large patch on the underside of the tail signals an alarm to other deers and helps fawns follow its mother to safety. The white-tailed deer is also a great jumper and runner. It can reach speeds up to 58 kilometers per hour. The deer can be active at any time, but it's typically nocturnal, which means that it's most active at nighttime. Its diet consists mostly of green plants, nuts, and in the winter, wood vegetation. One unusual characteristic of the white-tailed deer is that the doe leaves her fawn unattended for hours at a time. The fawn has very little scent, and its spotted coat provides natural camouflage, which keeps it safe from predators. The doe returns a few times a day to feed the fawn. Does and fawns usually stay together for about a year, sometimes 2. For most of the year, bucks and does stay in separate groups, but during the winter, larger groups of deer gather together. This helps keep winter trails cleared and offers protection from predators. Each year, the male's antlers fall off and regrow. They are so fun to watch from afar, but like all wild animals, if we feed them and make them used to us, they will eventually learn to rely on us, which causes more harm than any good. A good example of this would be at Lynn Shores. I'm not sure if you've ever been there, but it's a conservation area. There's a large deer population there now, and people have continued to feed them, and it's very dangerous because there's a road there, and they congregate on the road sometimes. So let's take a look at adorable chipmunks. They're very common throughout Canada. Chances are you see them all the time in your backyard or anywhere. Let's look at some chipmunks' behaviors. Eastern chipmunks are at home in the forest where there are plenty of hiding spots, such as under rocks or fallen trees. This cover helps the critter escape its predators. These animals will eat fruits, nuts, seeds, and mushrooms, sometimes even bird eggs and earthworms. Each chipmunk builds a burrow where it may live to up to several years. Chipmunks mostly stay away from each other's homes. Its tiny burrow is also a place to hide from predators. To make its burrow, the chipmunk digs a tunnel and fills the space with fluffy seeds, leaves, and grasses. Underneath this bedding, it hides nuts and seeds for the winter. That can help the nuts and seeds it does not eat grow into plants. During winter, chipmunks mostly stay in their burrows. They wake up every few days or weeks to snack from their stored food. This means they do not hibernate. In spring or summer, a female chipmunk gives birth to an average of 3 to 5 babies, in which have no fur, are blind, and weigh only 3 grams. They will venture out of the burrow after about 6 weeks. Each critter also has its own range. When in another's territory, the chipmunk will be wary. Chipmunks don't always get along, and when vying for the nuts, humans are passing out. Alright, let's take a look at our almighty moose. Amazing. Moose can live up to 20 years. They're on average 5 to 6.5 feet tall, and they weigh on average 1,800 pounds. That is huge. Their antlers can spread 6 foot end to end. Moose are so tall that they prefer to browse higher grasses and shrubs because lowering their heads to ground level can be difficult. In winter, they eat shrubs and pine cones, but they also scrape snow with their large hooves to clear areas for browsing on mosses and lichens. These hooves also act as snowshoes to support the heavy animals in soft snow and in muddy, marshy ground. In summer, food is far more plentiful in the northern regions of North America, Europe, and Asia. When the ice melts, moose are often seen in lakes, rivers, or wetlands feeding on aquatic plants, both at and below the surface. Moose are at home in the water, and despite their staggering bulk, they're very good swimmers. They have been seen paddling several miles at a time, and will even submerge completely, staying underwater for 30 seconds or more. Moose are similarly nimble on land. They can run up to 35 miles an hour over short distances and trot steadily at 20 miles an hour. Males, called bulls, bellow loudly to attract mates each September and October. They're usually solitary. Bulls may come together at this time to battle with their antlers for mating supremacy. After mating, the two sexes go their separate ways until the following year. Though they may occasionally feed in the same grounds, they tend to ignore each other. Females give birth to 1 or 2 calves in the spring, each weighing 30 pounds. The calves grow quickly and can outrun a person by the time they are just 5 days old. Young moose stay with their mothers until the following mating season. Let's look at one last animal we all know and possibly even fear: a black bear. They are common throughout North America. They can live up to 20 years in the wild and grow up to be 6 feet in length. And they can grow a whopping 600 pounds. Black bears are North America's most familiar and most common bears. They typically live in forests and are excellent tree climbers, but they're also found in mountains and swamps. Despite their name, black bears can also be a blue-gray or a blue-black, a brown or a cinnamon, or even very rarely white. Black bears are very opportunistic eaters. Most of their diet consists of grasses, roots, berries, and insects, but they will also eat fish and mammals. They easily developed a taste for human foods and garbage. Bears who become habituated to human food at campsites, cabins, or rural homes can be dangerous and are often killed. Thus, the frequent reminder, please don't feed the bears. They're solitary animals. Black bears roam large territories, though they do not protect from other bears. Males might wander 15 to 80 square mile home range. When winter arrives, black bears spend most of the season dormant in their dens, feeding on the body fat they already built up by eating ravenously all summer and fall. They make dens in their caves, burrows, brush piles, and/or other shelter spots, sometimes even in tree holes high above the ground. Black bears den for various length of time, governed by the diverse climates in which they live. Female black bears give birth to 2 or 3 blind, helpless cubs in midwinter and nurse them in the den until spring, when all emerge and search for food. The cubs will stay with their very protective mother for about 2 years. Thank you for listening today. I hope you learned some new things about our wonderful Canadian wildlife.